And welcome back. Today we are here to talk about the Jack of Hearts, the sacrifice for love card. Makes me want to sing Meatloaf again, Mama Bear Mare. But before we start singing and rolling on here, my name is Andrea Blythe. I am the traveling Magi of Let Love Rise, here to share mystical wisdom to help it apply to you and your life, your soul roadmap. And I am joined, as always, by the beautiful Mama Bear Mare. Give a little shout out.
Mama Bear Mare, what's up, everybody?
What's up? You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do
Ready to
this.
dive into this card. Well, today we have a special card, the Jack of Hearts. First of all, take a look at that Jack. What do you notice? What do you notice?
Oh, that little sly dog looking out of the
Yes.
one eyeball. Yeah.
Aha. Yes, that profile. This is one of the one-eyed jacks, and we will talk about the symbology of that. This is out of the spring season, our very first royal card. So we'll talk a little bit about what it means to be a jack, the highs and the lows. If you are born a jack, or if you have a planetary ruling card that's a jack, if you know and love a jack, what it means. And today, specifically, the Jack of Hearts, we're talking about the heart energy this spring season. Hearts represent the spring, all about love, family, relationships, home. All that is symbolized by the heart. So, before we get into the mystical essence behind this card, let's do some birthdays. Shall we do a little roll call of birthdays for the Jack of Hearts?
Yes, yes. Okay, if this is your birthday, you too can be a Jack of Hearts. Okay, July 30th, August 28th, September 26th, October 24th, November 22nd, December 20th.
There we go. Jack of Hearts birthdays. We will write them in the description below so you can know anybody of one of those birthdays. They are of this very special card. Now, I'm going to do something that I haven't done before, and I'm going to share my screen because it's very pertinent to this card. It is the first card that we have discussed that is a fixed card. Okay, so what does that mean? Let me see.
What does that mean?
What does that mean to be fixed? What it means, this is what a quadration looks like. And this right here is called the solar spread for life. It is how I read people's soul roadmaps. And there's a very scientific calculation that happens called quadration. When you lay the cards out, here in the spiritual spread, they're all in perfect order, ace to the seven. It does read right to left. You do not need to know this, but it's all in perfect harmony here. And then we quadrate the deck, and this is what is considered the life spread. What you'll notice is here's the glyph for Venus. So this is the Venus row. And down here is the glyph for Jupiter, Jupiter column. And the Jack of Hearts sits, let me see if I can make it a little, oh, there we go, a wee bit smaller. The Jack of Hearts sits right here in the Venus Jupiter position, or essentially, if you could see what I'm drawing with my
Mm-hmm.
cursor, it looks like, what does it look like to you, Mare?
Mm-hmm. A cross.
A cross. Yeah,
All
the
right.
grand cross. And the cross, as we all know, is symbolic of the Christian religion. And that is where Jesus was crucified on a cross. So, this card, this Jack of Hearts, being here in the position of the cross, is significant because if you might be able to see that underneath it, there are no little numbers. I'm going to zoom this in. Most of these
Mm-hmm.
cards have little numbers under it, and those cards indicate where the other position of the card is in the spiritual spread. This one. So the Jack of Hearts is in the same position. It doesn't move. So that's the cool thing about this is it doesn't move. People, when you quadrate the deck, which again, very calculated, systematic way, it looks like you played 52 card pickup, but actually you are quadrating it according to seasons and you lay it out. The Jack of Hearts is there. You pick it up and you relay it down again. The Jack of Hearts is in the same spot every single time. You
Mhm.
say requadrate that fast.
Quality de conquat.
Yeah. So every time you re-quadrate the deck, the jack doesn't move. It is a fixed card. It will always occupy the Venus-Jupiter position. No other card can go there. No other card receives that energy. And that's how this card has come to be known as the sacrifice for love card. And then now we can sing that Meatloaf song that we were singing on the river last week. I would do anything for love. Right.
But I ain't gonna do that.
Won't do that. That we will discuss on the Lick My Brain podcast in a couple of weeks. But this Christ consciousness card or the sacrifice for love card, it is a really beautiful love energy. But as you noted at the beginning, it's got one eye. So this jack has sort of a blind spot to it. There's something that this jack cannot see. It has difficulty being objective. And sometimes that can mean that the jack can only see the highest qualities in you, and or cannot really see himself or herself because again, it's even though it's jacks we typically associate as a male archetype.
Mhm.
Anybody can be a jack, male or female, you could be a jack, but it is very much has this one eye and it's this super fixed card. So the energy that it has is quite different and unique. If you are a Jack of Hearts, if you know a Jack of Hearts, understand that this type of person doesn't get to move around the deck. And I know this sounds kind of weird, but they absorb the same energy year after year, whereas the rest of us, like Mare and I, Mare, you've got the 10 of clubs and the 3 of hearts. Both your cards just kind of prance all around and we receive different energies and different roadmaps every year accordingly. Same with me. My 4 of spades and 10 of diamonds, they travel all over the deck. The Jack of Hearts doesn't travel. It stays there. It is always in the same spot, receiving that same energy, which for any of the fixed cards, and there are 2 other fixed cards, the King of Spades and the 8 of clubs, and we will get to those later. The King of Spades will be the very last video that we create because that's the suit of the spade and the highest of that suit. The 8 of clubs we will get to this summer. This summer we'll be moving through the energy of the clubs, the suit of knowledge. But for now, just knowing that this Jack of Hearts is a very unique fixed energy, the karma that it shares because it doesn't move, it doesn't have that spirit and soul karma. Like we often talk, Mare, how you and I are karma cards or we are karmically connected. My spirit card is the 10 of clubs. The 10 of clubs soul card is the 4 of spades. So Mara and I have that special connection, as does any 4 of spades and 10 of clubs person. But the Jack of Hearts is the Jack of Hearts. And it shares kind of a similar energy with the other fixed cards, the 8 of clubs and the King of Spades. And what I find really fascinating, I'm just going to I'm going to spill a little tea. You ready? So
Love it.
my youngest child is a fixed card, an 8 of clubs, and they are currently dating a Jack of Hearts girl. So it's very interesting to see how, because it often says that the fixed cards, they find each other. They find each
Mm.
other. And then we'll just go a little deeper. My other daughter is, I'm like looking. She, she's a Jack of diamonds and she is dating a Jack of hearts. So both 2 of my
Mm.
kids right now are dating a Jack of hearts. So it's an interesting card to pay attention to for me personally and just to see, help them understand also their partner a little bit better to understand that there is just I want to say a stubbornness, and that's how we can see it as stubbornness, but it's just more challenging for a fixed card to be as flexible or to get outside of their own mind even though this is
Hmm.
a big heart energy, so maybe for the Jack of Hearts to get outside of their own heart, like they will literally, like if you need them in a pinch, boom, they will be there. These Jack of
Hmm.
Hearts people will be there. They will help you. They will serve. They love deeply. And it is just, a little fixed. And that's all I can say. Does that make sense to you if I say it like fixed?
Yes, yes. Their position is it can be grounded, right? In the
Mhm.
same, you can look at it like that, but you can, to me, it's not always like a real like stubborn kind of thing. It's just it's I'm comfortable here and I'm good
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. And you might circle around to the same conversations again because it's what is known.
Right.
And so the jack itself, though, let's talk about the energy because this card just needs to be understood that it's a very, very special card in the deck. It is the first fixed card that we have discussed. So needed that like special preview. But in addition to it, the jack, it's in and of itself, some of the characteristics. What are some of the characteristics that you associate with a jack? And then maybe we'll look at some of the famous people who are jack of
Yes, yes,
hearts.
yes, yes. I think I was looking at this morning. I was reading the notes that I had made before about the higher side. So isn't
Mhm.
that funny that I'm not going to look at the lower side? I'm rose-colored glasses, like, and
Yes,
that
a
could be
choice.
like a not so much either. Like, look with both eyes, all eyes, everything on
Oh,
you.
right, right.
Yeah, you're like,
Yep.
Jesus.
And
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and it is important to look with both eyes because the downside, well, I'll do the downside and I'll let you do some of the upside of the jack. How about that? The
Yeah.
downside of any jack is dishonesty and deception. Especially not so much, it's hard to do that with the Jack of Hearts because it is such big sacrificial love energy. But
Mhm.
certainly when we get to Jack of Spades, that one, so brilliant, so smart, and also a one-eyed Jack can look for the shortcut and the deceptive route. And I just say this, it'll be something that I will talk much more about in a couple of months. The Jack of Spades story, personally for me, uh, how I was deceived strongly by somebody when I had the Jack of Spades. And why I say this just right now is because I looked at the higher side of the Jack. I had a blind eye to the possibility when I had the Jack of Spades in my roadmap of the lower side manifesting. So the lower side is deceit and deception. And maybe just being too young in spirit, maybe a little immature, right? That can also be associated with the Jack. But what are some of the high sides that you have noticed with Jack?
I also think the high side is the immaturity. It's the fun, loving,
Oh, I love that.
like the little, like it doesn't always have to be so straight and narrow.
Mhm.
But I know they're very devoted lovers. They're very charming. They're
Mm,
very hopeless romantics.
yes.
So everybody's just peace, love, and
It's like
rose-colored
Romeo,
glasses. And yeah.
Romeo.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Wherefore
Yeah.
art thou, my charming? Yeah. Playful, sweet. Yes. Yes. And I like that you said that immaturity can be a positive thing as we move through adulting. Sometimes it is just fun to have somebody who's just like, let's just go have fun.
Yeah.
The difference between a jack and the king and the queen. The king and the queen have roles to play, right? They are on the throne. And I'm thinking, I just been thinking so much about the Little Prince lately. Les choses sérieuses, they're all about the owning their power and their authority. But then there's the jack who's just like, hey, like, let's
Yeah.
take life too seriously. Let's go have some fun. You're right. The Jack gets to play around. So we could think of it even more so along the lines of a prince. It is a younger energy.
Right.
And the one other thing to note about all jacks is that they are considered to be the spiritual initiates in their sign, in their symbology. So the Jack of Hearts being a spiritual initiate is going to pull you up into a more spiritual way of loving another. And so much of love, especially between parents and children, and that's where I see the Jack of Hearts play its role a lot is that unconditional love and quite honestly the way that parents will sacrifice
Hmm.
themselves on behalf of their children, that is very present in the Jack of Hearts, in that spiritual way of receiving love. Now, you just need to be cautioned that you don't over give, and sacrifice and become a martyr. You can take it way too far, but a
Hmm.
little bit of balancing out, like, oh, I need to do this for my child or for somebody younger than me. I need to sacrifice my time because I love this person so much. Even if it's, helping a friend move, that might not be the thing that you want to do so much. But if you love that friend, you're going to sacrifice perhaps some of your time to help make that an easier transition for that person. So that's something about the Jack of Hearts. Are there some Jack of Hearts birthdays that we want to?
Yes, and when you think about all the highs and lows that we just went through,
Yeah.
so just okay. So I can never say his name, but I say it fun. Is Arnold Schwarzenegger? That's that guy. He is. He is. Jamie Lee Curtis, but Lisa Kudrow. I
Lisa
mean, isn't
Kudrow.
that? Yeah, she's
Wait, did
the
you
Jack
just say
of Hearts.
Schwarzenegger? Schwarzenegger, like
Schwarzenegger,
Conan
yeah,
the Barbarian. He's
Schwarzenegger, yeah.
a
However,
Jack of Hearts. Interesting. And he went on to become the governor of California. And didn't he I'm not super up to date, and I know that this was like probably decades ago, but didn't he leave office? There was a little scandal of dishonesty
hmm
when he left, but
yeah,
sacrifice for love, energy. Interesting. Okay. And Lisa Kudrow,
good
that's
joke.
is that Phoebe from
Uh-huh.
oh,
Very
I love
good. Yes, nice.
Phoebe from
And then
yes.
Sandy,
Yeah.
Miss Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, maybe. Rest in peace,
Yeah.
Olivia Newton-John. That's really fascinating to see that these people all, I think one of the ways to consider fixed energy is these people just might feel a little different. And maybe we all are unique, but they might feel it more because of the unique signature of their card. So, you know, I don't know. I'd be curious to know of those celebrities that we mentioned, Schwarzenegger. How did you say his name again?
Sure. I said it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger, Schwarzenegger,
Let's
whatever.
just all be grateful that growing up, that was not our last name. When you had to learn how to spell your last name. Oh my goodness.
Oh Lord, yeah. I would have
Yeah,
just
Lisa
by F.
Kudrow, Olivia Newton-John are some examples of Jack of Heart energy.
Yeah.
Just something to think about, something to consider. Now, before we wrap up, one of the things that I like to do is just look in our soul roadmaps to see if the Jack of Hearts is playing an important role for you. So, Mare, have you looked at your roadmap? I can pull yours up too if you haven't had a chance to
Yes.
look at it.
Off of my planetary ruling card, which means F of my three of hearts, I
Yeah.
have a Jack of Hearts in
Mhm.
my Mars period. So starting July 8th.
Okay, so in your Mars period. So again, what this might mean, we have 7 52-day periods that rule over our year. Mars is all about passion, fire, energy. It could be anger. It could be lawsuits if that is applicable to you. It's not applicable to everybody. But so the Jack of Hearts, what is the other card that you have with the Jack of Hearts? Can you see that, or do you just have the?
Yeah, the Jack of Spades. Oh, Jack of Clubs. Sorry. So
Okay, okay.
two
So
jacks.
okay, so you had two jacks. Oh my gosh, I didn't even mention that. Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up that you have those two jacks because jacks also represent creativity. My goodness, they are incredibly creative. And I think that has to do with that playfulness. And so, this Mars period for you, tapping into your creativity is going to be so important. You're going to have the creative forces of the mind and of the heart working with you, and you already are a mind and a heart card. So it's like, let's think about creative ways that you can express yourself. And oftentimes, again, because it's connotated with, or the Mars is connotated with anger and fire and war. If there's something you're really pissed off about, Mayor, it's transmuting that into a
Yeah,
creative channel, into a creative outlet to help you uh use the energy instead of being pulled down and then get into a doomsday type thinking.
right.
But yeah, creativity is going to be key for you. I think that that's the way I would see that. Also, know that if you know of a Jack of Clubs or if you know of a Jack of Hearts person, they might be playing a role for you during that period of time, and they might anger you, right? They might do those things, or it might be passion too, because the other side of anger, there's passion. So that's some ways to see it. Okay, so that's where you have the Jack of Hearts over a
Yes.
planetary period.
Yep.
My roadmap, it's playing a big role again. We're going to talk about Pluto again. It's my Pluto card for the year.
Oh,
For the
wow.
year. So this is a big deal card. Most of us, except for the fixed cards, now we can talk about that. The fixed cards, you only have three headline cards for the year because your cards don't move. You don't sit in a new position and another card doesn't sit in yours. And that's the essence between the environment and the displacement card. That's what those two cards do. So the three fixed cards, the Jack of Hearts being one of them, they only have three headline cards for the year. The rest of us who move around the board, we have five cards. And everybody gets a Pluto card for the year and a result card for the year. So the Pluto is sort of the challenge, how your soul is evolving and growing. So for me, it looks like I'm going to have to make some sacrifices this year, right? It could be
Mm,
sacrifices of my time, it could be my resources, and sometimes it is in order to help someone else for a higher spiritual meaning.
mhm,
Um, yeah. So it also is initiation. Again, the jacks, another word we associate with them is initiation into higher forms of love. The highest form of love is that love is selfless and it's willing to make sacrifices on behalf of the
mhm.
beloved, whether it's a child, a friend, a lover, a spouse, a parent, even, although it usually goes younger, but it doesn't always have to be that. So, this love energy might challenge me this year because it's in Pluto. So, Pluto kind of challenges, but the result will be having a deeper understanding of love and truth. So,
What
that's
is your result card, may I ask?
Oh, that is a great question. It's the Four of Diamonds is my result card. So the result card, the Pluto card works in association with the result card. It's like, here's your challenge. Remember, I don't remember what episode we talked about, like, got to go to the gynecologist, but then you get the result card and you
Or
get the treat
proctologist. We don't
afterward.
want to leave anybody out.
Or yes. And it's like the ice cream or something fun that you take yourself to do because you've done the hard thing. And so the
Right.
result card is the Four of Diamonds, which is protection and stability around finances, is the ultimate meaning of the card, which sounds great. I love
Mm,
it. I will let you know. And the result card can often be a person also. That person will play a role. So I know of a couple of Four of Diamonds people. So I also just pay attention to when people come into my orbit and if they're really present. And the result card tends to show up towards the end of the year. My year just started. I'm in my Mercury period. So towards the end of the year, maybe a Four of Diamonds person will show up, or a Four of Diamonds person that I already know might play a more prominent role.
mm.
Or it could just be the basic meaning of that stability and protection over finances, which I am I am all about.
That's
Like,
right.
yes, I'll take it.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome,
Yes,
welcome.
please. May I
Yes,
have another?
please. Yes, and more, please. Is there anything else that we wanted to say about this beautiful Jack of Hearts energy? Looking over
Mm,
my notes.
I'm
Creative,
looking too.
playful, romantic. Yeah.
The Christ card always trips me out because watching you do it reminded me, oh yeah, the sacrifice of
Yeah.
yeah, the ultimate sacrifice is according to those or some.
Yeah, and
Um,
I could read
yeah.
a little bit that goes on that explains that from this book. This is also my teacher, Robert Lee Camp, for reference, if anybody. This is more of an advanced book, but so, to talk about that because sometimes people have a real tough reaction to hear that it's the Christ card. Like,
Mm,
like even just the word Christ can, I know for me for years and years and years, it was a real tough connotation because I was not baptized as a child and I felt very excluded from the church.
hmm.
And, Jesus obviously is a big representative of the church. And so I took it personally until I got to know the guy personally outside of religion and was like, oh, Jesus is all right. He's actually really good. Oh, he has so many beautiful things to say. It's how it's misconstrued. But anyhow,
Hmm.
with this, the Jack of Hearts, for whatever reason, for that reason, is connected to Jesus. Now, the four kings are the four gospels, it is said in some of these. And let's think about the Magi, the order of the Magi, the three kings who came to visit Jesus. They're called the Magi kings. They were of the order of the Magi presenting this knowledge. But in the cards, when we look at the deck itself, the four kings can represent the four gospels. One of those kings is the King of Hearts, and that is dear to the Christ card. The King of Hearts represents John the Baptist, who came before. And this is the Jupiter card for the Jack of Hearts. So when you look at that roadmap, that I showed where the Jack of Hearts falls, the Jack of Hearts Jupiter card is the the King of Hearts, which can
Mm,
represent the Baptist. The other is the King of Diamonds, which is the Saturn card, and this card represents Matthew, the businessman or the tax collector. So
mm,
I just thought that so it will be these powerful and domineering business types that are challenges for the Jack of Hearts person. They have in their life path, they have those two kings in the Jupiter and Saturn position, the King of Hearts and King of Diamonds. Just always just interesting to see how this system, to some, it's an interpretation, take it or leave it. But that you can see a bigger story represented by, for the first time, we have characters, right? Not just numbers, but characters as represented by the jacks and the kings. So something to consider, something
hmm.
to chew on, to meditate upon. So Jack of Hearts. Anything else that you wanted to say about it being the Christ card or the sacrifice for love card?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm
Think
just looking
we're
to
good?
make sure I didn't, nope.
All right.
I'm just
Well,
looking to make sure I didn't forget anything, but I think we're good. Yeah.
awesome. Please, if anybody listening has questions that they would like to know about this, again, absolutely leave your birthday in the comments and we will respond with what that card is for you. And if you have larger questions, just put them in the chat. I'll either respond into the comments or we'll bring it here into the show and answer your questions next week. Thank you for listening. If you find this science fascinating and interesting, please subscribe to the channel, comment, like, share, do all the things that can help lift the knowledge of this secret society. That is secret no longer. It is time for us to learn how we can use the influence of these cards to bolster our confidence in our energy and the direction of where we're going. That's how I like to use that roadmap. But we're not going to be blinded. We're going to look with two eyes when we look at our roadmap from now on. More to come when we get to the Jack of Spades on that. That'll be all
Yeah.
right. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks, Mayor, for your time. And also, please be sure to check out the Lick My Brain podcast. Very first episode, episode 1, was a fantastically fun interview with myself talking about the Magi and how you can match. There's going to be some more energies on matching our energies with another for intimate connections, romantic connections, and also there are all kinds of connections that we can understand about ourselves, our relationships with our children, our parents, our friends, our neighbors, our coworkers, you know,
Hmm.
people rafting down the river you asked their birthdays too. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. We'll see you back here next week when we talk about one of my favorite cards, and there is an actual song for it, the Queen of Hearts. We'll see you then. Bye, everyone. Ciao for now. And stop the recording. I do this. Stop.